This conference will now be recorded.
Good morning, students. Today's topic Paragonimus westermani and Phaseolapis busci. Okay, these two are trematodes. Ramya, Ramya. These two are trematodes. Okay, before going to our main topic, I want to revise classification of parasitology. Entire parasitology is classified into two major groups, protozoology and helminthology. Okay, already protozoology completed to you. So next coming to helminthology, all these are worms. Entire helminthology divided into, classified into three major groups. One is cystode, second one is trematodes, third one is nematodes. Okay, examples for cystodes are Taenia solium, Taenia saginata, and Echinococcus granulosus, and all are examples for cystodes. Coming to nematodes, all round worms like hookworm, roundworm, and filarial worm, all these are examples for nematodes. Okay, next another class is trematodes. Okay, these are flat worms, leaf-like structure worms. Okay, examples cysto. Examples for trematodes are Cystosoma species and other flukes. These trematodes also called flukes. Okay, these are leaf-like unsegmented flatworms. Contain two suckers, one oral and one ventral sucker. contain two suckers, one oral and one ventral sucker. All are hermaphrodite, means sexes are not separated. Means in single worm contain both male and female reproductive organs. Okay, except cystosomes. Okay, you see the general characteristics of these trematodes. All are hermaphrodite, means sexes are not separated, except cystosomes. In the class of cystosomes, male and female worms will be there. Okay, then coming to body, the body is covered by an integument. Means tegment means a tough layer. Okay, a tough thick layer, and they do not have any body cavity. Circulatory and respiratory organs are absent. Okay, all these are the general characteristics of trematodes. Okay, within trematodes, there is one classification based on their normal habitat. Okay, these trematodes also called flukes. Okay, these are divided into different flukes based on their normal habitat. Blood flukes, examples, all Cystosoma species: Cystosoma hematobium, Cystosoma mansoni, and japonicum. Okay, next coming to liver flukes: Phaseola hepatica, Clonorhynchus species, Opisthochus species. All these are the examples for liver flukes. And third type is intestinal fluke. Okay, these intestinal flukes, mainly important one is Fasciolapsis buski. This is very important. This is also called giant intestinal fluke, and Gastrodiscoides hominis and Heterophyes. All these are intestinal flukes. Then coming to lung fluke. One important major lung fluke is Paragonimus westermani. Today our topic is lung fluke, that is Paragonimus westermani, and one intestinal fluke, that is Fasciolapsis buski. Next, coming to the another main chapter, main parasite, Paragonimus westermani. This is also called Oriental lung fluke. It is common in Korea, Taiwan, China, and Southeast Asia. In India, it is mainly seen in Assam, Bengal, Tamil Nadu, Kerala, Arunachal Pradesh, and Nagaland. Okay, this Paragonimus genus contains so many species, but important human pathogen is Paragonimus westermani. That's why this is the most common species infecting human. We see the morphology. If we see the morphology of Paragonimus westermani, two morphological forms for all these parasites: adult form, egg, or larval form. Okay, first adult form. See, this is egg-shaped adult, egg-shaped one. Paragonimus westermani, egg-shaped, and it is 10 mm long, 5 mm broad, and 4 mm in thickness. It is reddish brown in color. The integument is covered with scale-like spines. These scale-like spines are characteristic feature of this Paragonimus westermani. See, spines. This is cover, outer covering, integument. Next, oral sucker situated at anterior end, ventral sucker present in the middle of the body. This is ventral sucker. Here, see, this is the oral sucker. Sorry. Okay, then this oral sucker continuous and divided into two. See, this broad one, two intestinal cica, and these cica end blindly at the caudal end. Okay, this is the adult worm morphology, and lifespan of this adult worm is up to 20 years in humans. Next, coming to the egg. The eggs are operculated. Okay, I think this about this operculum and eggs uh, discussed in first introduction. I mean characteristics of these tremators. Operculum means like lid. See, operculated eggs. And golden brown in color means bile stain 100 into 50 microns or micrometers in size. Worm size is in millimeters, but egg size is always in microns. Okay, when freshly laid, they are unembryonated, means non-infectious. Okay, they are unembryonated when freshly laid. Okay, means after immediately after release from the worm, these are unembryonated, so non-infectious. Next, coming to the normal habitat, we already discussed this is lung fluke. So worms lives in the adult worms lives in the lungs, especially in the cystic spaces of lungs. Next, coming to the life cycle. This parasite passes its life cycle in one definitive host and two intermediate hosts. Okay, I already told in parasitology, I mean protozoology classes. So if any life cycle, you have to describe under these headings like this. First, definitive host, second, intermediate host, next, infective form, then mode of transmission. Okay, you have to describe like this for any parasite life cycle. Okay, next, coming to the our Paragonimus westermanni life cycle. Here, definitive host is man. Okay, other definitive hosts are cats, tigers, leopards, foxes, dogs, and pigs. Okay, next, first intermediate host here is freshwater snail. Belongs to the genera Semisalcospira and Brotia. Okay, these common say first intermediate hosts for this Paragonimus westermanni are these two genera snails, Semisalcospira and Brotia. Remember, then second intermediate host are freshwater crab or crayfish. Then coming to infective form, this is a Metacercaria, means a larval form of this Paragonimus westermanni encysted in crab or crayfish tissue. That is the infective form, Metacercaria. Okay, then mode of transmission. Man get infection by eating uncooked or partially cooked or salted or pickled crab or crayfish which containing metacercaria, nothing but infective form. Okay, this is the mode of transmission. That's why cooking is very important. Adequate cooking is very important. See, this is the snail, Semisalcospira or Brotia, first intermediate host. Okay, these are the operculated eggs. Okay, under microscope. See, these are the crab, crayfish, second intermediate host. Okay, freshwater crab or crayfish. See, coming to life cycle. Okay, life cycle always starts with infective form. Okay, see here, man gets infected by ingestion of raw or poorly cooked crab. This crab tissue contain metacercaria encysted metacercaria, that is infective form. Okay, after ingestion, what happened? Metacercaria existation occur in duodenum. Okay, means existation means cyst, conversion of cyst into cyst form to adult form. Existation. Encystation means conversion of adult form into cyst. Okay, here what happened in the duodenum? Existation occur. So adult worms release, and then these adult worms penetrates intestine, diaphragm, and all to reach lungs. See, this is the adult worm in lung. Okay, this cycle is in man. Okay, what happened next? Adult worm releases eggs. Okay, up to here, from entering of metacercaria into definitive host, that is men. Here definitive host men, to adult worm, release of eggs. This cycle happen in men. Okay, means definitive host. So after release of eggs, during after release immediately, these eggs are unembryonated, non-infectious. These operculated eggs in sputum or feces excreted into environment. Okay, in the water, these eggs undergo some development. Okay, eggs embryonates in water, and inside these eggs, that meracidium larva, free swimming meracidium will develop. See, see the inside here, unembryonated, here embryonated, with egg with free swimming meracidium. Then these free swimming meracidium releases from the egg and penetrate into the first intermediate host, that is snail. Okay, in snail, this again undergoes several developments. First, this is in snail, it undergoes asexual development. First, this meracidium converted into sporocyst, then first and second generation radia. This is first generation radia, and this is second generation radia. And next, finally, it became into Cercaria. Okay, this cycle happened in first intermediate host, that is snail. Okay, then this Cercaria releases into water, and the Cercaria penetrates into second intermediate host, that is crab, or sometimes it may be crayfish. Okay, this metacercaria, this Cercaria inside these crustacean tissues develops into metacercaria, that is the infective form. Okay, again this metacercaria infective form enter into the definitive host by eating undercooked crab or crayfish, that is second intermediate host, and again cycle will repeat. This is the life cycle of Paragonimus westermani. Okay, see, once again I am repeating. First entry of infectious form here is metacercaria. Okay, in second intermediate host tissue means crab or crayfish. See, after enter into the human, existation occurs, adult worm release. These adult worms reach lung and start liberating eggs. These eggs then in the environment, means in water, they undergo several developments. In water, inside the egg, veracidium will develop. Then veracidium releases into outside, and it penetrates the first intermediate host snail. See here asexual development, sporocyst, first and second generation radia, and Cercaria. This Cercaria penetrate into second intermediate host, and in second intermediate host it become metacercaria. See, this is the infective form. Cycle will repeat. Okay, this is about life cycle of Paragonimus westermani. Next, coming to the pathogenesis and clinical features. It causes eosinophilic granulomatous inflammation in the lungs. Okay, this leads to encapsulating fibrotic capsules or cysts surrounding the worms. Okay, these cysts filled with blood and purulent fluid, one or more flukes, and golden brown eggs. Okay, these cysts are filled with blood, purulent fluid, flukes, and eggs. Then these cysts break up into bronchioles. The blood mixed sputum is expectorated. This is the pathogenesis of Paragonymous westermani. So this is called pulmonary paragonimiasis. Okay, this Paragonymous westermani causes two types of diseases: pulmonary paragonimiasis and extrapulmonary paragonimiasis. Okay, in pulmonary paragonimiasis, eosinophilic granulomatous inflammation occur. Then the worms form fibrotic capsule or cyst surrounding the worms. These cysts are filled with thick blood purulent fluid, flukes, and eggs. These cysts will break and releases these fluid and blood into the bronchioles. The blood mixed sputum is expectorated. This is the pathogenesis of pulmonary paragonimiasis. Next, during this pulmonary paragonimiasis, patient present with cough, chest pain, and hemoptysis. Here, important characteristic feature is we can see the rusty blood-tinged sputum with an offensive fishy odor. This is the characteristic feature of Paragonymous westermani. And in chronic cases may resemble pulmonary tuberculosis. Okay, in chronic cases, we can see the complications like pneumonia and lung abscess. Next, extrapulmonary paragonimiasis. Extrapulmonary. Okay, name itself indicate extrapulmonary means infection occurs other other than lungs. Okay, how? Means the worms migrate from the ruptured cyst to various sites such as liver, spleen, abdominal wall, skin, and very rarely brain also. Okay, so we see the extrapulmonary paragonimiasis. First one is cerebral. Okay, we can see the fever, headache, vomiting, motor weakness, or epilepsy. All these are the symptoms of cerebral paragonimiasis. Okay, next coming to abdominal paragonimiasis. Here we can see the hepatosplenomegaly, abdominal tenderness, and bloody diarrhea. Okay, coming to lab diagnosis. Sputum microscopy, early morning deeply coughed sputum only give good result. Okay, in saline mount we can see the operculated eggs. Next, we have serological test for the antibody detection, complement fixation test, indirect hemagglutination test, and ELISA. For antigen detection, we have DOT ELISA and other tests like non-specific tests like peripheral smear for differential leukocyte count for seeing eosinophilia. This test will use. And radiological tests like MRI, CT scan, chest X-ray also useful for the locate the cyst in the CNS or other sites. These are mainly used for the extrapulmonary paragonimiasis. Next, coming to the treatment, praziquantel, biethanol, or the drug of choice. Prevention means general methods like sanitary disposal of sputum, health education, treatment of cases, control of snails. All these are the preventive measures of Paragonymous westermani parasite. Okay, this is about Paragonymous westermani. Okay, this is lung fluke. Next, coming to the facial abscess buski. This is intestinal fluke. This was first described by Busk in the duodenum. This is very important for Viva question. This is giant intestinal fluke. Okay, faciolapsis, face, faciolapsis buski, giant intestinal fluke. This is largest and most common fluke infecting men. Okay, very very important for Viva. Okay, in India, mainly seen in Assam, Bengal, Bihar, and Odisha. Okay, children are more prone to infection than adults. Okay, normal habitat of this worm is duodenum or jejunum. Next, morphology. Adult worm measures about 2 to 7.5 centimeters in length and 0.8 to 2 centimeters in breadth. Okay, we already discussed this is giant worm, largest trematode which infect humans. Okay, very important for Viva. See, this measurement is in centimeters, largest worm. Okay, fleshy with broad anterior end but does not have cephalic cone. Okay, see here, there is no cephalic cone. Okay, this is the main differentiation feature between Fasciola hepatica and Fasciolapsis buski. Okay, both eggs are having similar characters. Okay, so we can differentiate both worms, that is Fasciola hepatica, Fasciolapsis buski, by seeing this adult worm morphology. For hepatica, there is a cephalic cone. For this Busky, no cephalic cone. Okay, two suckers, oral sucker and ventral sucker. It is hermaphrodite, means both male and female reproductive organs present in single worm. Next, eggs, large in size, operculated, bile stain, similar to that of Fasciola hepatica. That is liver fluke, Fasciola hepatica. Okay, next coming to the life cycle. It passes its life cycle in one definitive host and two intermediate hosts. Here definitive host man and pigs. Okay, here pig acts as a reservoir of infection of man. Okay, this is very very important point. Then first intermediate host here is snails of genus Segmentina. Next, second intermediate host here is aquatic vegetation, means aquatic plants. Here infective form is encysted metacercaria. See, encysted metacercaria on aquatic vegetation. Okay. See, this is the life cycle. Life cycle is almost similar to Paragonimus westermani, but post and habitat will change. See, here man acquires infection by eating aquatic plants with encysted metacercaria. This is the infective form. Then after enter exists in duodenum and attaches to the intestinal wall. Then liberate adult worms existation process. See, this is the adult worm. Okay, giant worm in small intestine. It liberates eggs, operculated eggs. Okay, next eggs in pieces, same. Okay, freshly laid eggs are not embryonated and non-infectious. Then in water undergoes some development. It develop into miracidium. This miracidium escapes out from the egg. This miracidium is ingested by snail. Same. This is a first intermediate host. It undergoes asexual development inside the snail, means sporocyst. C. First and second generation radia, and finally Cercaria. This Cercaria, this free swimming Cercaria escape from snail and uh, it escape from the snail into water. Then it insists on the aquatic vegetation to become metacercaria. See, metacercaria and aquatic plants. This is infective form. So this metacercaria ingested by definitive host, here man, by eating aquatic plants. Then cycle will repeat. This is the life cycle of Fasciolapis buski. See, same cycle with different items. Spiculum, snail, water plants, Meracidium, Cercaria, Metacercaria, adult one. See, aquatic vegetation. This is the real photo of, sorry, real photo of Fasciolapis buski. See, giant worm. Next, coming to the pathogenesis. Main pathogenesis is due to the traumatic and obstructive damage to the intestine. Okay, in light infection, it may be asymptomatic, or sometimes it leads to local inflammation, ulcerations with mucus and blood in stool. Okay, these symptoms are in case of light infection. In the severe infection, this leads to partial obstruction of intestinal tract, malabsorption of protein, losing enteropathy, and we can see profuse yellowish green stool. Okay, we can see eosinophilia, toxic and allergic symptoms appear, edema, ascites, anemia, and persistent diarrhea. Okay, we can see in rare cases complications like paralytic ileus. Okay, next coming to the lab diagnosis, detection of large number of operculated eggs in the stool sample uh, gives a probable diagnosis, but Fasciolapis buski eggs and facial hepatic eggs both are similar. So that's why we can differentiate between these two infections by seeing the morphology of adult form. We already discussed it in previous slides. Treatment, drug of choice is praziquantel. Prophylaxis, general prophylaxis, treatment of infected persons, proper disinfection of water, vegetables by hot water. Okay. Next, prevention of water pollution from human and pig feces. Pig is the, here we already discussed, reservoir for human infection. Pig. Okay. Pig feces are the common source of infection. Okay, next, control of snails. Community-based praziquantel treatment can be used to control this infection. All these are the different prevention, general prevention measures of Fasciolapis buski. Okay, so this is about Paragonimus westermani and Fasciolapis buski, lung fluke and liver fluke. Any doubt? Any doubt, students?